Okay, we are going live.
Yep.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast series AI in the Real World, where we move beyond demos and explore the system that make AI work at scale. Theme of today's episode is powering intelligence when AI meets the energy grid. In this episode, we will turn our focus to a question that is becoming increasingly critical as AI adoption accelerates. What actually powers AI? Right? As models grow larger and workloads intensify, energy infrastructure, grid resilience, and intelligent operations are becoming just as important as algorithm and data. To dive deeper into this topic, I am joined today by our guest speaker, Diganta Sengupta, Master Principal Enterprise Cloud Architect at Oracle. He has deep expertise in large scale cloud and critical infrastructure systems. His perspective connects cloud architecture with the physical realities of energy system powering modern AI. With extensive experience designing platforms that operate at massive scale, Diganta brings a practical view on how AI and energy system must evolve together. In this conversation, he will share insight on AI energy convergence and why grid resilience and intelligence are becoming foundational for AI at scale. Welcome, Diganta.
Thank you, Sheetal. I'm glad to be part of this podcast series and thank you for the invitation. Thank you.
Glad to have you on our podcast. So, before we dwell into the question and answer things, do you want to say something to our audience?
Okay, sure. I can give a little bit of background about myself.
Please.
As Sheetal already introduced, myself, Diganta Sengupta. I am a master principal enterprise architect here at Oracle, and I've been with the industry for almost 25 plus years. And
Mhm.
you can imagine it's a quite long journey, but we all end up in this AI era after all,
True, true.
overcoming all the cloud stuff and all. So there are a lot of transformation that happened in the industry as well as in my personal life
Mm.
throughout this journey. And I just want to tell you that being part of this Oracle organization for last 15 years, I
Wow.
work on several areas, several verticals, but last few years I've been more engaged into the utilities and energy, oil and gas vertical, and
Hmm.
I've been fortunate enough to work on some of the big Fortune 500 clients, as well as on the other hand, I've been part of this Forbes Technical Council. I'm a member
Yep.
leader for utility and energy group there. And then also I'm a senior member IEEE where I do run and contribute some of the groups I've been quite actively engaged in the power and energy society,
Hmm.
AI, AI society and all that. So there's lot where we can talk about. There's a lot that things happening across the world. I think this is a great opportunity for me to be here and share some of the thoughts.
Okay. So first and foremost, we are glad to have you here because you have perfectly the combination of hands-on experience and you have seen the transition, right? How the traditional system used to work and now with the AI era. So
Yeah.
definitely we want to learn from you and in cash, if we can say, from your experience for our benefit. So that's one of the key thing. When I looked at your profile, I wanted to have you as a guest on my speaker just for that purpose too, because you bring such a great experience, and then you are doing a lot of activities. As you mentioned, you are member of Force Council, you are senior member of Triple IE. So I just wanted to make sure that our audience also benefit from your experience. Okay.
Sure.
So let's dive into it and let's start with the big picture. Okay. AI's appetite for power is growing fast because AI is everywhere now, right? So, from system architecture perspective, what worries you more today? Generational limits, grid resilience, or gaps in operational intelligence?
Great, great. So you know what, obviously from my perspective, the actual gap, I believe in operational intelligence. That worries me most. And here's why,
Okay.
Think about it. Generation capacity and grid hardening, these are real problems, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But they're visible, right? We can see them. And honestly, we are already working on them. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Renewables, battery storage, transmission updates, microgrids. The infrastructure piece is happening. But here's the thing, without real time, end to end intelligence tying it all together, those investments don't actually work as a system. They're just pieces. Okay. So think
Correct.
about it, because AI workloads are incredibly dynamic. They're location sensitive, and let's be honest, like they're pretty opaque to the grid, most of the grid operators. So when the grid doesn't have the real situational awareness across data centers, distributed
Mm-hmm.
energy resources, substations, markets, it's stuck, reacting with
Mm-hmm.
the way it works, right? Slow, centralized controls that are designed for a completely different era.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think you capture it very well that grid and generation limit are like visible problems, but operational excellence is like you don't have clarity. And unless until you make an effort to understand the problem statement, uh, your scalability is at question, right? So
Exactly.
great perspective on the system level. And thank you for highlighting those differentiations. So next, I want to zoom into the architecture side because what I personally feel is AI and energy system don't scale at the same way, right? AI is going at the light speed, and infrastructure takes time, right, to build on
Right.
that. So we often talk about scaling AI in the cloud, right? Like we will have everything on cloud so that it's easy accessible and everything. But
Mhm.
grid scale is very different, right? You have physical infrastructure and everything.
Mhm.
So these architectural mismatches, how do you see AI system grow, and how do you think that energy infrastructure can evolve to align with it?
Well, that's a great question, by the way, and things getting really interesting here. The core mismatch is very simple but profound. AI systems, if you look at it, it scale in software time, while energy infrastructure scales in physical time, which means like they're
Yes.
two different universes. So if I break it down, right, AI platforms are designed to scale elastically, globally. You can provision compute in minutes. Okay, you can shift the workload across regions, which is pretty
Mm-hmm.
cloud. Demand spikes unpredictably based on whenever you are putting a new model or anything goes viral, right? So from an
Right.
architecture perspective, these systems assume abstraction. You don't care whether the service feedback loops are instant, you can fail over in seconds. But if you think about grid, right, that's just the opposite. It's location bound, permit bound, and latency
Yeah.
bound. Okay,
Yes.
so building anything, any new generation transmission lines or substations, okay, it will take years to build, to plan, to build,
Yes.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
what I can say is like power flows, they follow physics, okay? They don't follow APIs. Okay,
Correct.
so you just
For
turn
sure.
electricity around like you move a Docker container. So there is a
Perfect.
huge difference, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And if
Right.
you look at the architecture, if you look at the current energy infrastructure, we are in, I think I would say like 1970s era of internet. I mean,
Mm.
telephony, not even internet.
Mm-hmm. I.
Right? So we are there. So data centers, we need to think a lot. We need to think about like what cloud resources we can provision on demand, and how we can meet the AI demand that you are talking about by
Mm-hmm.
scaling the infrastructure and making
Yep.
it AI aware, to be
Yep.
honest.
So my takeaway from your answer is yes, the difference is profound between because as you said, one is physically bound, permit bound, because it's more driven by government and everything, right? It's not public source
Exactly.
in some areas. Um, but yeah, thank you for giving that insight. But what I hear also from your answer is that even though we know the difference, we are working towards that. We are trying to bring it up to the speed because the demand of AI or the power for the AI system is growing fast. So things are moving in the right direction, is what I take.
That is correct.
Perfect.
So as I said earlier, like I've been part of this IEEE
Mm-hmm.
uh, IPC, where we are actively working, contributing towards the guidelines that we can propose to US lawmakers. So they are also
That's a great
aware of
point.
what are the things that they need to understand, because this mismatch requires a fundamental shift, right?
Yes,
We need to treat
absolutely.
energy not as a external dependency, but a first-class
Hmm.
architectural concern on par with compute, storage, network. So that's important.
Absolutely. Yep. So wheels are in motion already. Great.
Yes,
Thank you.
exactly. That's a good thing. Yeah, it will take
Absolutely. It's a
it
good
will
thing.
take time. It cannot happen overnight, right?
Uh, but
Yeah.
like as a host of this podcast, my intention is like I want to give the visibility to our audience, like where are the things coming up, where are there chances for their career or to learn more and things. Okay? So I think this is one of the area where interested participant can explore more and learn and get there, because you want to be
Correct.
part of the industry which is evolving, right? So that
Correct.
you also get benefit. So that's why I wanted to touch base on that. Thank you. So moving on, I want to focus on the practical AI use case. Okay. As you mentioned, there are these mismatches and the constraint physically, infrastructurally,
Mhm.
lawfully. The obvious next question, what comes to my mind is where AI actually makes sense today. Okay, not in theory, not in practice, because when you where do you see AI delivering the most immediate value for utilities today? Is it load forecasting, demand response, asset health, or outage prevention? And why?
Mm. Well, so let me tell you what I'm actually seeing in the ground. So I have few customers I've been working with, some few projects.
Mm-hmm,
Of course, there are so many things happening across other I would say other hyperscalers as well. What
mm-hmm,
I have seen so far, asset health, you mentioned, right? Asset
mm-hmm,
health, outage prevention, they're delivering the most immediate measurable value. Load forecasting could be close behind. Asset health is where, like, AI can really move, because it's not just a cool concept. This is really
mm-hmm.
in production right now. I can tell you.
Okay,
It's
okay.
working. The reason being, all these utilities have tons of operational data. Okay,
Mm-hmm,
SCADA system, sensors, maintenance logs, inspection reports. It's all there.
okay.
Okay, so the easy part is AI plug in and start detecting degradation, anomalies, predict failures.
Hmm.
That can help prioritize the maintenance, which is really, really giving a tangible impact. Okay,
Mm-hmm,
that can impact fewer unplanned outages, better capital allocation, improve safety, right?
mm-hmm.
So these things are there already. I mean, I can give you one example. Like, we are working on a project
Sure.
where we are doing MSET. MSET is multivariate state estimation technique. This is
Okay,
one of our senior research lab members. He actually patented this technology, and it got
okay.
introduced into this anomaly detection services that we
Wow.
offer. So it can do false alarm probabilities, it can do missed alarm probabilities. All these things, it can help, as I
Mm-hmm.
to predict the failure modes and help prioritize maintenance, and,
Oh,
like,
wow.
end of life of those, predict the end of life of those machineries or
Mm-hmm.
instruments. Like, it
Okay.
could be CNC machines, rigs,
Mm-hmm.
mud pumps and all that.
Wonderful. I never thought of it. So what I hear is like based on the historical record or the log history of particular station that AI is helping us to find the anomalies, patterns, and then determine what when you have to do the maintenance or what would be
Correct.
the useful life of that asset and everything.
Correct.
Very
So
great
it's something
insight.
called VAR sensors. Okay, those
Mm.
sensors, you put on those um, assets that you are monitoring, right? And it can
Okay.
consistently transmit data, the sensor
Mm.
data about thermal or any vibrations, everything, all acoustics. It can send back to the system, and
Mm.
it will check with the training data and see if there is any deviation of the data. So instead of
Mm.
going in with the threshold, because earlier it used to be more like a threshold based monitoring, right? Now
Okay.
with multi-state, you can even get I
Modify.
mentioned the SCADA systems and all the other inspection report. You can combine the data and really can see, like, if there is an anomaly that you are detecting through those
Mm-hmm.
sensors, right? So
Wow.
yes, so that's a very good use case, I would say, like, as you ask, that provides immediate value, asset
Well,
health. But there
like
are
real time
real time,
evaluation of the,
real time
yeah.
evaluation. Exactly.
So that
Yeah,
there will be quick reaction time for it.
that is
Very
correct.
important.
Yeah.
Perfect. I think, and that's very critical for energy industry because you don't want to have the longer shutdowns of your systems so that it
Right
has
side.
a
So,
larger
like,
impact.
where using this predictive maintenance, where the problem can occur, like
Mm-hmm.
transmission, if there is any failure on the transformers or anything before, and like you can, put your service person on work, right? Schedule the service person to do a maintenance
Absolutely.
and all that. So it helps a lot if you have those, predictive maintenance where you can capture the data and can find out if there is any anomalies.
Wonderful. I think it's a very realistic way to look at the impact. I never thought of it, but good. That's why I like talking to people from various industry because there are so many things happening, and you never think of that AI can be useful in these ways too, right? So, Thank you for that real life example. But I have next question is on the trust and guardrails. Because you were saying that the AI system is looking at the log and everything, making decisions, giving some insights on that, right? But once AI start influencing the real operational decisions like this, like maintenance required or something that this might shut down in certain period or something,
Mhm.
especially the critical infrastructure like this, right? Energy. How big is the issue of trust? And how do we prevent, how do we make sure? Probably, if I can put it in a, we don't want
Mhm.
the black box decisions, right? How do we ensure that the decisions made by the AI systems are trustworthy? And what are the guardrails we put around it? If you can spend a few minutes on that.
So what I would say, like, the bottom line would be for critical grid infrastructure, any explainability or trust, they're just not nice to have features, right? They're architectural requirements. That's it, period. Okay. From my experience
Very
working on these systems, yeah, they get where any kind of failure, right?
mm-hmm.
Physical safety and regulatory consequences. You
Mm-hmm.
have to understand, like, that there is a full autonomy that is rarely the goal. What we really need, we need to make sure the system is foolproof, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we need to design the explainability at the system level, not the model level. So because operators don't care about the neural network and all that ways and all that, right? They only care about system behavior. So your
Mm-hmm.
when you put the AI system, whatever you are building, right, that should come with some kind of context, like what signals drove this recommendation, how confident is the system, what are the assumptions that's been made, how does this compare with what we have seen historically, right?
Okay.
All those expansions need to align with how the operator already think about the grid. So that is very
Mm-hmm.
important. So you can understand, right? It cannot be just a black box decision.
Yeah. And it
Mhm.
cannot be just the checkbox at the end of the
Tick
development of
box.
your ASIC. It has to be
Eh,
integral part of your design.
that is correct. Exactly.
Yeah. Wonderful. Because we have to make sure that there is accountability for the decisions made by these systems, and we just don't have the we just can't say that this has been decided and that's why we are going forward. So, as you mentioned,
Correct.
that explainability is very important for these
Very,
decisions.
very important, I would say. Very, very important, because you have to co-design the system with operators. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Their mental model, they are constrained so that the operators also understand why a recommendation exists, and they will
Absolutely.
trust the reasoning.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
adoption will follow naturally.
I think that's it's a intersection of human intelligence with artificial
Exactly.
intelligence, because
And
the operator who is actually working on that on the field for years, they know better than because of the experience, right? As you were also
correct,
saying that
exactly. And this
experience
is
matters.
exactly what
Yeah.
I have seen when I was in the field. I was looking
Mm,
at those machines.
mm,
Operator said, like, I asked him, like, how do you know that there
mm.
is some issue? He can sense it because of his
Yeah.
experience over and over.
Experience.
He was working on this system. He doesn't
Absolutely.
need that, but he can take a judgment that, okay, I think the system is not working the way it should, right?
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
then again, it is very much dependent on that particular person, the operator's experience, right? What if tomorrow he's not
Absolutely.
there, right? We cannot
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
But their inputs are really, really valuable. We need to definitely get that human AI understanding there in terms of,
Absolutely.
like you said, yeah,
I think, and that's this is very critical for the people who keep saying that AI will replace humans eventually. But I
yeah.
think this is a very real example of life. Like human intelligence cannot be replaced. It
Mm.
so I think the key takeaway for me from this is AI can be helping tool. It can be assistance for the operator to make the like whatever is required, that decision, critical decision, what to be done. But that decision making power is still with humans based
Yes.
on the data analysis skill and
They
the
can
approach.
be decision support system. They cannot be the decision maker, right?
Absolutely.
We humans
Wonderful.
need to that.
This real life example makes it's
Yeah,
easier to understand what AI is actually about, because when you read out on the internet or especially on the social media, there is a lot of fear, right? We keep
correct.
thinking that they will replace us in certain way, and then people
Yeah.
ignore. But again, my point from this podcast is I want to remove that fear and make people, audience, understand that there is a room to learn and it is going to help us. We cannot be oblivious to this integral part
Uh,
of our life now, right? We have to embrace it and we have to
have
learn and
no
make
choice
best
but
use of it.
to accept it.
Absolutely. And make best use of it. Just don't accept it as a like you don't
Exactly.
have any other option. So make best use of it. I think I'm very
Absolutely.
glad the way the conversation is moving. So
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for the examples. So now let's talk about the probably reality check. So because this system what we talk about have been built over the years, right? As you were saying that probably in 70s 80s, I don't know how old are
Correct.
these energy grid systems. So when we introduce AI first in these systems, in these grid operations, what break first? The
Mm.
quality, data quality, latency, governance, or organizational readiness?
You're spot on. Organization readiness, that breaks first every single day. It usually exposes issues in data, latency, governance.
Yeah.
That's already lurking there. So, on paper, utilities
Mm-hmm.
grid operators often assume that AI adoption is primarily a technical upgrade. We just need better algorithms, more sensors, right? No, that's
Mm-hmm.
not. In reality, AI stresses decision-making structures, not just systems. So, as you said, all these legacy grid operations are built around some kind of deterministic rules. They're like
Mm,
in that old era, chain
absolutely.
of authorities. They're slow, predictable change cycles. They know, they understand.
Correct.
Everyone
Mm-hmm.
knows it. But the playbook was different. Now with AI, we have a very different approach. We have AI that introduces probabilistic outputs. We have
Mm-hmm.
faster feedback loops, recommendations that cut across traditional silos operations. So here's the thing, like, cultural and organizational shift, that is very important. Okay, that
Mm-hmm.
is very important. So to make sure that we are really ready to get AI into this legacy grid operations. So that shift is not going to be easy, but yeah, I think slowly, what I'm seeing, like organizations are getting into that. They're adapting. Okay, they tend to
Right.
be flexible now with the leadership alignment and clear
Mm-hmm.
operating models in place. Even on the governance side, which I already mentioned, right? We are talking with the policymakers, lawmakers, that
Mm-hmm.
there is some gaps, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we also have to, the industry need to give the feedback to the organizations, through the
Absolutely.
organizations to the
Mm-hmm.
policymakers, lawmakers. So They
Mm-hmm.
understand that this kind of governance is important. They it's not just the paperwork. It should be more like an enablement, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, again, my perspective is that this AI mind shift has been happening at, so it's other way around. I don't know. We were not part of the previous, this large scale transition probably, but especially for AI, mindset shifting has happened at leadership level faster than at the ground layer,
Very
right?
true. Yeah.
And this time it's flowing other way around. Like now everybody has to be on that train, like on board on that train and get
Yeah.
ready for that journey and understand everything. So that is taking time, I believe, but we slowly and gradually we are moving on that. And
We-
that's what,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what you were saying, that
Adaptive.
organizational readiness will happen only when everybody's on board, right? It cannot happen that only leadership wants to do it, but on ground we are still doing traditional ways,
Correct.
right?
At all level, at all layer, we have to
Yes.
have that adaptability for sure.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Again, thank you for that reality check. It is very important to keep that in mind. Like as I keep saying that everybody need to embrace this change so that we can see that difference, like the change into the systems and how useful it will be for us in the future. And it's
Totally.
not just, as you said correctly, it's not just plug and play. You just don't like, there is something and you just plug and everything. It's not like that. You
So
have to you have to redesign, revisit, uh, and keep improving on this system. It's not one time thing. You have to keep
totally,
learning from your mistake and keep doing it. Wonderful.
totally.
Good. So let's talk about the future now. Okay. Because even my first question on the same thing, like it's AI is very power greedy, if I can say that. It keeps consuming the data, energy intensive, right? And that's why it will consume a lot of energy. So it becomes very energy intensive, the AI workload, right?
Yeah.
So do you see future where grid themselves become AI native platforms rather than just the power providers?
That's again a very good point. Um, traditionally, of course, grid, it's more like a delivery system, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it only generate, transmit, distribute, and restore when things break. That
Absolutely.
worked, right? But as we are talking about this AI workloads, it's grow and the variability that increasing, right? From distributed energy sources or electric vehicles, microgrids, data
Mm-hmm.
centers, right?
Mm-hmm.
This model is not going to scale. It doesn't scale in that sense. So we have to think about a grid that can sense, predict, and adapt continuously. That's
Mm-hmm.
the hallmark of will be of an AI native platform. So what does it mean? You have to have some kind of pervasive sensing data fabrics that become the code infrastructure, right? I
Okay.
mentioned earlier about high fidelity telemetry from substations, feeders, or distributed sources,
Mm-hmm.
resource, large loads that can feed to real-time models. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about historical reports. So how that can be possible? You have to move the data closer to the edge. Okay, the edge where decisions have to happen faster than
Mm-hmm.
centralized system allow. So
Mm-hmm.
those are things we have to think about, a layered architecture where intelligence will become more foundational.
Mm. Oh, wow, that's a very well put layer architecture. Um, I like that term. Wonderful. Thanks for that powerful long-term view,
Yeah.
Adiganta. It's been great conversation. But before we close out, I want to bring back to the people again, as I think this is for the audience of our podcast. Um, but there are also people who are at the leadership in our audience theme, right?
Mhm.
So, what one guiding principle, like all these, whatever we talk about so far, like if you have to put it in one guiding principle for this industry leaders or policymakers, as you were saying, that you are also working with lawmakers who are investing in AI heavy infrastructure now, right? Everybody's in it. So, as per you, what should be the guiding decision at the intersection of AI and energy?
Mm. Okay. Um, So, if I distill everything down to one thing, I would say, like, you have to design the AI and the energy systems together, okay? Because they will
Okay.
fail if they are designed in isolation. So,
Okay.
the biggest risk, I would say, the intersection of AI doesn't come from the lack of technology, right? We already
Mm-hmm.
have the tech. I think the problem is mismatched assumptions. Okay, that's why I say, like, with AI, that's a big problem, anyways. So,
Mm-hmm.
what I would say with the AI platforms that we are talking about, that's typically built for speed, elasticity, and abstraction. Now, we
Mm-hmm.
have the energy systems, on the other hand, as I mentioned earlier, governed by physics,
Mm-hmm.
locality, long planning cycles. So
Okay.
these worlds are quite separate, right? So if we build and consider those things separately, we will end up building some fragile system that will look
Mm.
scalable on paper but struggle badly under any kind of real world stress.
Okay.
So
So,
we always talk to these policymakers when, as I said, like, the enterprise leaders,
mm,
um, they have to understand, they have to treat the energy availability and flexibility as first class architectural input when they are building the AI infrastructure. Okay.
okay.
It cannot be a external input. It should
Mm.
be internal. Like, first design principles you have to consider as a first class architecture input for, for
Mm-hmm.
for building the AI infrastructure. So that is important, and you have to invest in operational intelligence, which I remember when I
Absolutely.
started the conversation, right? I spoke
Mm-hmm.
about the gap, like operational intelligence, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is important.
Yeah.
Governance is important.
Mm.
Just expanding capacity is not going to help.
Yeah.
So we are talking about building more power plants because we need more power for
Energy.
AI.
Energy. Yeah.
That will save you, but you cannot coordinate.
That's not a long-term solution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Wonderful. That's a great note to end on. What my takeaway is that AI success isn't just about the intelligence, it's also about the infrastructure and decisions, as you were saying, that support it, right? Like the governance, operational excellence, organizational mindset shift from at all levels. That is going to help us to make sure that AI and energy industries are going at the same pace in the right direction together and not built isolated separately.
that
Wonderful.
is exactly correct. Yeah, exactly. We are all sitting in this AI and energy infrastructure intersection, and we can realize that part. Like, you cannot have these things separated. You have to think
Absolutely.
about a way where you can make them, make these systems work together. Okay, and
Okay.
like I mentioned, like it has to be like the AI workloads. For example, I'm just giving a small example. Like when we are talking
Mhm.
about AI workloads, it has to be something like, let's say we are like schedulable, shift, grid aware. So you are
Mm,
putting some AI workloads, that, when you are going to train the AI models, right? So
mm,
you
mhm.
know, the energy capacity there. Similarly,
Absolutely.
the infrastructure should know, like, where or how the AI loads is going to shift,
Come.
uh, because that way you can have that operational intelligence that we are talking about.
So both has to work in parallel, like in conjunction with each
In
other. Like
conjunction. Yeah,
AI need to be giving inputs to the energy industry to give understand like where the power, like where which are the areas where you need more resources from the energy side, as well as
yeah,
um, energy. Industry also needs to understand the
yeah.
AI landscape and where it comes in. Very
Correct.
good. Thank
Exactly.
you. Thank you for all those insight, Diganta. It's been very insightful, and thanks for all the details. However, before I
Thank
let you go,
Sure.
I usually end my podcast with the rapid fire round. Okay, and I will keep
Okay.
it to the your industry. So
Sure.
I have few questions for you. Wo- Let's get started.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay. One word that describes today's energy grid.
Slow.
Okay. Bigger challenge right now, scaling AI or powering it?
Hmm. Actually, both.
Okay. Yeah, I
Both.
will take that. Okay. Next question is, if the grid could learn one thing, one thing better, what should it be?
If the grid can learn one thing better,
Yeah,
well, elasticity, speed, abstraction.
you named three already. Cool. Next question. Forecasting ahead or reacting fast, which wins in the real outage?
Reacting fast.
Reacting fast. Okay. I thought so. And last one myth about AI and energy infrastructure you wish would disappear.
Like I mentioned already, just adding capacity is going to help.
Okay.
That's the biggest myth
Perfect.
there.
Okay, I think that's very well encapsulates our discussion in these five rapid round questions. So, thank you once again, Diganta, for
Thank
your
you.
time and being
Really
here
enjoyed it.
on my podcast. Same here,
Yeah.
had a very wonderful conversation.
Appreciate your time, Sheetal, and again glad to be part of this. And I'm hoping that we can have more interactions in future. Thank you.
Absolutely. I wish, I think we should have another session because you have so much insight and experience that we can have another great session. So, we'll look forward for that for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you once again.
Thank you.
And
Bye.
thank you everyone who joined us today. I hope this discussion gave you a new perspective on what it really takes to power AI in the real world. If you found this useful, please like, subscribe, and share to my channel. Thank you everyone. See you next week.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time. Bye.